Right then guys, how's it going? And welcome back to your football predictions, the series where you guys go up against me each week to see who can get the most correct scores from the weekend's Premier League football. So those were my predictions at the weekend. I did okay. I didn't get any correct scores, but I got the correct outcome for every game. So I was right that Liverpool would beat Sheffield United. It was actually 1-0. I guessed 3-1. I was right that Man City would beat Everton. It was actually 3-1, not 2-1. I was right that Leicester beat Newcastle. I guessed 1-0. It was actually 5-0. And Man United versus Arsenal, I guessed it would be 2-2. It was actually 1-1. So I didn't get any correct scores, so not great, but I was in the right area. Loads of you guys got involved, as always, so thank you for getting involved. Loads of people seemed to get that Man City were going to beat Everton 3-1. So there was quite a few people who got one correct score, but there was only two people who got two correct scores, and they were Mr. Football and Daniel. So I have put both of their YouTube links down in the description, and I have subscribed to both of them, so make sure you guys go and check them out as well. And remember, if you want to be shouted out, well, it won't be next week because it's the international break. Unless you guys want to see some international predictions. Leave a like on this video if you do. I don't normally do them, but maybe I could. If it's not next week, it'll be the week after, but make sure to get your predictions down in the comments below for this weekend's upcoming games. But as always, I've picked a few of them, and we'll go through them now. First up, we are heading straight into the 3 o'clock kickoffs. I thought this one looked like a good one. It's two promoted teams taking each other on. Norwich versus Aston Villa. Norwich currently sitting in 17th place, which I was actually quite surprised by. Just the general knowledge that Pookie's been looking good, and that Norwich had a good start. So it's not like I look out for them every week, but to spot they were 17th place before doing this video, I was actually a little bit surprised. Obviously, they had a very tough start taking on Liverpool before beating Newcastle in the second game. And then obviously a couple of weeks ago, they went and beat Man City, which was fantastic. But since then, the last two games, they lost against Burnley and then lost against Crystal Palace 2-0 at the weekend. So to go from beating Man City to then losing the two following games, I think in my head, I was still just thinking, they beat Man City, Pookie's scoring goals, they must be doing all right. But yeah, two good wins, but other than that, that's the 6 points that they've got. They've lost all of their other 5 games so far. As for Aston Villa, they are sitting in 18th place, so just 1 place behind Norwich and also 1 point behind Norwich as well. Aston Villa have got their points from beating Everton, which is a good win. I would certainly say that's a good win, considering I would say Everton are a team who really should be challenging for Europa football, definitely. So promoted, Aston Villa beating them is a fantastic win. And then they've had 2 draws. One against West Ham and then one against Burnley, which was 2-2 at the weekend. So recent form, Aston Villa have got 2 draws of late. Norwich have got 2 losses of late. Perhaps the confidence they've gained from the Man City win might be have gone at this point. I don't know. I mean, one thing that Norwich have is the fact that Pookie can score goals. And I do think, I mean, if you've got a man up front who's going to get you 10, 15 goals in a season, you've always got a chance not only of winning any game, but of not being relegated, because that is the point of these 2 promoted teams. And I wouldn't call it a 6-pointer because it's far too early in the season, but you'd imagine these are 2 teams who really don't want to be around there come the end of the season, and probably predicted by most people to not necessarily be relegated, but to be in and amongst what will probably be a fair few teams on similar points like it was last season, and they're going to want to be well away from that. As for a prediction, I've gone 2-1 Norwich. Norwich are at home, and I've said it already, they've got Pookie. And I can see him getting a goal. I could be wrong, But again, let me know your thoughts down below. Next up, and another 3 o'clock kickoff, because I thought this one looked good, and it is Liverpool taking on Leicester. First place versus third place. Liverpool are in first, undefeated in the Premier League so far, currently sitting 5 points ahead of second place Man City and 7 points ahead of third place Leicester. No doubt Liverpool are the favourite going into this one. They're playing at home, they're currently undefeated, but a little bit of a hiccup midweek. Yesterday night, when Liverpool were playing in their Champions League game, they were 3-0 up against Salzburg before allowing them back to 3-3, but then winning the game 4-3. The Salzburg manager celebrating down the touchline when they've drawn 3-3 and then Liverpool go and win it. I bet he felt like a Wally this morning. I don't know, will Liverpool think, oh dear, what's happened there, or will that just push them to be even better this weekend? We don't know. But the reason I think it's an interesting game is because Leicester have started this season very, very well. As I mentioned, they are in third, and yes, there is a 7-point gap behind Liverpool, but they are running away with it. Leicester are only, however, 2 points behind Man City, who are in second. So Leicester have had a very good start. So far, Leicester have won 4, drawn 2, and lost 1. And then, I've got to mention it, unfortunately, the game they won at the weekend was 5-0 thumping of my team, Newcastle. And I mean, we were rubbish. We were with 10 men for the whole second half, but Leicester took full advantage of it and stuck the ball in the net multiple times. So I think they will be high on confidence going into this game. Now, as I mentioned already, I think Liverpool will be the favourites. They are at home. Leicester are going to have to do a lot to go there and beat a team who are currently undefeated in the Prem. But they've got every chance. The problem with Liverpool, and I'll say it again, I've said it before, is that no matter how badly they are playing, the front three they've got, they can always score. And we saw it against Salzburg. You know, they might have let a 3-goal, being 3 goals ahead, go to a 3-3. But with how long, 30, 40 minutes left, they always had a chance to get another, and they did. My prediction for that one, I've bigged up Leicester, and then I've got 3-1 Liverpool written down. If Leicester get the early goal, put the pressure on Liverpool, it could be a different story. You know, Sheffield United, they were unlucky last weekend to not get a result against Liverpool. It was only a goalkeeper error that Liverpool won 1-0. So who knows? Next up on the Saturday at 5:30, we've got 2 London clubs. West Ham taking on Crystal Palace. And again, 2 teams who I would say have started the season well. Specifically, West Ham, who are currently sitting in 5th place. So they are having a good start of the season. So far, they've won 3, they've drawn 3, and they've lost 1. Sitting in 5th. I mean, they had a really good win a couple of weeks ago against Man U when they won 2-0. I know Man U are certainly having their issues at the moment, but are still a quality side, so it was a good win for West Ham. And then at the weekend, they drew 2-2 against Bournemouth. And, you know, a draw against Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a good side. As I say, they're currently sitting in 5th place. They're on the same points as Arsenal, and they're only 2 points off 3rd. So they are doing very well. Crystal Palace, they are currently sitting in 9th place. West Ham are in 5th. Crystal Palace are in 9th. There's actually only 1 point difference between them because the league is so tight at the minute. So Crystal Palace are having a good start as well. Just 1 point worse off than West Ham. So far, they have won 3, drawn 2, and lost 2. And Crystal Palace's most recent game was at the weekend. I think I mentioned it already. They beat Norwich 2-0. So I would say that's a good win for Crystal Palace as well. I know I've said I think with time Norwich can come good this season. I think they've got the goal scorer, and I think it's a good win for Crystal Palace right there. In terms of this game, I can't see loads of goals in this game, and now that I've said that, it's probably going to be 3-3, but I'm going to go 1-0 West Ham. West Ham, as I say, have been on a good run, but don't necessarily score loads of goals. Their new striker, Haller, has looked pretty decent, so very possible that he could get one. That's what I'll go with. 1-0 to West Ham. And to finish things off, Sunday game, 4:30. Wish I didn't really have to predict this one, to be honest, but I'm going to do it because I'm a Newcastle fan, and I know a lot of you guys are as well. Newcastle are taking on Manchester United. Newcastle, currently sitting in 19th place. We lost 5-0 against Leicester last weekend. You know, what more can I say, really? There was a lot of changes to the starting lineup from what we've really gone with so far this season. The formation was different, the personnel was different. I think Brucey was just looking to put anything on the pitch that would just try and do something different. And it just didn't look very well thought out, and it just crumbled. I mean, we were down to 10 men for the full second half, which is going to make a difference, you know. It is much harder to defend and play against a team. Like, I know Leicester are doing very well this season, so it was against a good side, but to lose 5-0 is just embarrassing, to be honest. What can I say? Positive for us, I can say that we have played a lot of good teams so far. 7 games in, we have played Brighton, drawn against Brighton, drawn against Watford, lost against Norwich. But we've also played Spurs that we beat. We lost against Arsenal. We lost against Liverpool. We've lost against Leicester. And now we're playing Man U. So we should have done more against Brighton and Watford, in my opinion. It was good to get the win against Spurs. And the other games, I know the Norwich was a bit of a one. They've just come up to the Prem. They were on a high and they thrashed us. But, you know, is there any shame in losing to Man U, Arsenal? I mean, away to Leicester. I know it was 5-0, but I didn't really expect us to win. So, if I can give us any positivity, it's just that we've played some tough games so far. And Man U is going to be another one. I know Man U aren't on great form, but they're still a very good side. And we have been pretty pants. As for Manchester United, they are currently sitting in 10th place. There's a 4-point gap between the two teams. I mean, we're in 19th and they're in 10th. The fact that Man U are in 10th is why they are under so much criticism at the moment. And technically, Man U are only 4 points off 19th in the league is pretty mad. However, Man U are also 3 points off 4th. So, as I say, the league is very tight. Man U's most recent games, I mentioned they lost to West Ham a few weeks ago, which was obviously a terrible one for them. And then they drew 1-1 with Arsenal on Monday night. And as I'm recording this, they're currently drawing in the Europa League against AZ Alkmaar. Prediction time. Partially happy that they drew against Arsenal because I wouldn't have been surprised Man U fans, is Solskjaer going to get sacked if he doesn't pick it up soon, or have they given him the confidence to continue for longer? I wondered if they had lost against Arsenal, whether he might have faced something. If they're going to be sensible, to be fair, they would probably leave it until after the international break, so maybe Newcastle can get away with keeping Solskjaer as manager, because you know as soon as the new manager comes in, they're going to give the players a boost, and we don't want that in time for Sunday. And again, as a Newcastle fan, the only positivity I can really bring is that we've just been hammered. Hopefully the players are going to come out in front of the home fans on the telly. We're always on the telly because everyone wants to see us lose. Hopefully they're going to come out in front of the home fans and really show that last week was a one-off and they can put in a performance. And hopefully, because Man U are on a bit of a downer at the minute, we can use that to our advantage, pick ourselves up from the weekend, and potentially get a draw, a win. I don't think we're going to be able to score a goal because we can't seem to do that at the minute, but just go out there and do something. I've talked for ages on that one because, as you can tell, it's been pent up all week since the game. In terms of a prediction, I am secretly hoping, as I mentioned, that we come out fighting because of how bad we were at the weekend, and that Man U just aren't up for it, and then we might do something. That's what I'm hoping in here. What I'm thinking in here is, after losing 5-0 to Leicester, how is it going to get any better? So I've not wrote a prediction down for this one, but to predict that we're going to beat Man U after that game against Leicester is absolute madness. So I'm going to have to say 2-1 Man U. But as I say, is it crazy for me to think this, or is there any sense in it that we may just... I mean, we've got to come a long way in a week. But as I say, it's just, the hope is just that Man U haven't been great, and we might get away with it. So that's what I'm hoping. Let me know what you think down below. And that is it, guys. So those are my predictions for the weekend up there. Make sure to get your predictions down in the comments below. I will go through all of them before the first game kicks off, which is 3 o'clock on Saturday. So you've got all of tonight, all of tomorrow, all of Saturday morning up to 2:45, and then I'll make a note of everyone's predictions and I will shout them out in the next predictions video. Alright, thank you all for watching. As always, drop a like if you are interested in maybe seeing some international predictions over the next week or so. Get your predictions for this weekend's games down, or these games, down in the comments below. And yeah, have a great weekend. Hopefully your team wins, and I'll catch you later.